Hello, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and welcome to the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. I'm Owen, your host. Yes, you heard right. I am a UK-based Steelers fan, UK-based Steelers fanatic. Love my Pittsburgh Steelers. I love the black and gold. So I'll be helping out Mark for the next couple of weeks here on the Syndicate. Looking forward to doing so and sharing my views on our black and gold heroes with you in Steeler Nation. So guys, big question for me at this moment in time is there really a competition going into training camp over the quarterback one slot? Is there really going to be the equal opportunity for Dwayne Haskins, for Mason Rudolph and for Mitchell Trubisky to all win the starting job? Mitchell Trubisky certainly thinks so. That's why he's come here. He said that he wants to get back on the field, that he wants to be a starter again after his year's sabbatical, well, kind of sabbatical really, in Buffalo, where he only had 8 attempts passing. So Mason Rudolph, he certainly thinks so as well. Recently he was on the Rich Eisen show and he was asked, "What is your status, Mason?" And Mason Rudolph replied, "My status is finally having the ability to compete, to be a starting quarterback. I'm excited about that." There's a lot to be excited about. The pieces around us. We've bolstered the O-line. We've got a couple of great young receivers, a young running back who's a workhorse. There's a lot to be excited about. So Mason clearly thinks that he's got the opportunity to be the starting quarterback also. But let's have a look at what the stats say, shall we? So let's get into a bit of the statistics, the data side of things, and then we'll get into the opinion side of things. So on the data side of things, now I know Mason obviously hasn't got the massive sample size that Mitch has got, because Mitchell Trubisky had those 3 years starting in Chicago, even though he had obviously a lesser role to play in Buffalo last year. So Mason has got 384 attempts with 236 completions for 2,331 yards. His completion percentage is 61.4%. His passer rating, 81.1. I think the average for a quarterback in the NFL is about 93.6 at the moment. He's 72 rush yards, 16 touchdowns and 11 interceptions with a win ratio of 0.559. Let's look at Mitchell Trubisky now, our new free agent signing from the Buffalo Bills. He has 1,585 attempts, 1,016 completions, 10,652 yards, with a completion percentage of 64.1%, so a fairly decent completion percentage there. 87 passer rating, so higher there than Mason and higher than Dwayne, as you'll see shortly. Rushing wise, he shows his mobility by the fact he's rushed for over 1,000 yards, 1,081 yards for 2 rushing touchdowns. He's thrown 64 touchdowns in his career and has 38 interceptions. His win percentage is 0.596. He's actually got the 4th or 5th highest win percentage of a quarterback in the NFL with over 1,000 attempts. Now let's move to Dwayne Haskins. Now, obviously, Dwayne Haskins' figures obviously have to be caveated by the fact that he was in Washington at a time when Washington was really struggling, and Dwayne's attitude probably was not the best, as he would admit himself. 444 attempts, 267 completions for 2,804 yards, a 60.1 completion percentage with a passer rating of 74.4, so very low passer rating there. Rush yards, 147 with 1 TD. Now, Dwayne Haskins is not a massively mobile quarterback. People are wrong if they think that. He's thrown 12 touchdowns and 14 interceptions and has a 25% win ratio. So obviously there is an indication that the stats in terms of the completion percentages, the win percentages, the passer ratings, Mitchell definitely comes out on top. Not massively, but he does come out on top. Let's look at salaries now, because sometimes at franchises it's ultimately clear through what they pay someone that person is going to be their starter. So Rudolph's annual salary is around about $3.92 million, with a cap hit of just over $891,000. Trubisky has an average annual salary of $7,142,500. His cap hit is around $3.66 million. And Dwayne Haskins has a salary and cap hit of about $2.54 million after he signed that 1-year tender. So salary-wise, there's not a huge difference, is there? Not a massive difference. $3-4 million in the NFL is not a lot. It's a lot to us, but not to NFL players. Now, for what it's worth, I'm going to give my opinion now. Now, you feel free to disagree down. Drop me a comment below if you disagree with that. So, for my view is that I don't think there really is a QB competition. I think it's Mitchell's job to lose. And here's why I think that. If the front office had been so sold on Mason Rudolph, so thought that he was the man, would they really have gone out and gone for a high-end free agent like Mitchell Trubisky, the guy who was probably the most in demand of all the free agents out there? Yes, they've only given Mitchell a 2-year deal, but by the same token, they've only given Mason a 1-year deal. Not really a vote of confidence. If you really see that guy as being your quarterback of the future, after all, in the past they said they had a first-round grade on him, even though they took him in the 3rd round of the draft. Wouldn't they have given him a longer term deal if they were so convinced that he was the man, he was the player for the future? And we've got to remember, guys, Mike Tomlin, Mike Sullivan, the offensive staff, the coaching staff, they see Mason day in, day out. They see things on the training ground that we don't see, that we often only see a very small percentage of that at open training sessions and on game day. They see more of Mason than we do. Yes, okay, we didn't sell the farm like Denver and Cleveland to go out and get a quarterback like a Russell Wilson or a Deshaun Watson. We did obviously only go to free agency. But for me, it still shows that Mason is not the man that the Steelers really want to trust their future to at this moment in time. They've also given further indications as well through their massive interest in the NFL draft class, the present draft class. I think, Tomlin and Colbert have made no secret in their admiration for quarterbacks like Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, Des Ridder, Sam Howell, Matt Corral. They've spent a lot of time visiting these guys, taking them out to dinner, spending time with them. Yes, I know that's about doing your due diligence, but I still think that increased interest in those quarterbacks has perhaps shown like a lack of faith in seeing that Mason is the man for the future. But even in terms of the short term, there's that indications there that they say Mitchell Trubisky has been much more the man to be the starter next season. Why? Well, Mitchell, you've got to remember, fits the Canada system a lot better than Mason. He is more mobile, he can extend the pocket, he can roll out and throw. He's got that mobility that the Canada system needs. He's not a pocket passer, not what Nagy tried to make him to be. He's got a good arm. Not a great arm, but a good arm. He can certainly pass the ball down the field when he needs to. He's intelligent. He's got good football intelligence. He can learn the schemes. He can apply the schemes. What you've got to remember as well, guys, is that in Buffalo, they ran an offense that's very similar in style to the Matt Canada offense. Very similar in the way they use RPOs, pre-snap motion, the way they use their running backs, the way they use their tight ends, and the way they use their wide receivers. Very similar to the Canada system. So it's not going to be a massive jump for Mitchell to go from learning the Buffalo system to learning this Pittsburgh system. Now, another good stat, I think, that shows that Trubisky is the man for the future is that Trubisky benefits from when offenses use pre-snap motion. Something that Matt Canada loves. He used a lot in the college game and it really worked for him. And it gives him a chance to use that now in the pros, given the fact that Trubisky is very effective. And why is he effective? Well, when Trubisky had the benefit of pre-snap motion, he completed 81 of 111 passes for 856 yards. He had throw for 7 touchdowns and only 1 interception, had a passer rating of 101.9, which is much higher than his actual passer rating. I'd say, on reflection, it's Mitch's job to lose. It's Mitchell's job to throw away. The way he can do that, obviously, is if he messes up in training camp or in pre-season, if he fails to learn the offense, or fails to really convince the coaching staff that he is the man for the future. Now, I'm not saying Mitchell is going to be our long-term answer at quarterback, and all this could be clouded by the fact that if we do go on to draft a quarterback in the 2022 draft, someone, though, I do think will have to sit for a year, and Mitchell Trubisky is a good man to sit behind and learn for someone like a Des Ridder, a Malik Willis, a Kenny Pickett, a Matt Corral, a Sam Howell, for example. So overall, like I said, I think it's Mitch's job to lose. I think he's going to have to throw it away rather than Mason win it. Well, that's my view, guys. That's my view. See what you think. If you disagree with me, please feel free to drop me a comment below. Please feel free to chip on in there. Hope you've enjoyed the content here. Thanks ever so much for listening to the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. I've been Owen, and I'm going to finish this as I finish everything I do with "Here we go, Steelers."